The views expressed by the host on this program documented to be almost always right 99.7% of the time, as we are having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. I am Rush Limbaugh, doing what I was born to do. And you are too. I was born to host, you were born to listen, and we're here together, 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. The email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. Latest data on Tropical Storm Isaac. As of 11 a.m. from the National Hurricane Center, here are the actual percentage probabilities. It had nothing to do with the track. Well, it does, but I'm not getting the information from the track. If you dig deep at the National Hurricane Center's website, you go beyond the track, you can find some interesting stuff. And right now there is a 24% probability that Tampa, Florida, on Tuesday will experience winds of 34 knots. That's a tropical depression. There is a 6% possibility that Tampa would experience tropical storm winds, 50 knots. Now, 50 knots is 57 miles an hour. Give you an idea. 1% probability that Tampa will face hurricane winds on Tuesday at noon. So, 8 a.m. So we're looking here at 65 knots is hurricane, 74 miles an hour. 1% chance of that, according to the National Hurricane Center. A 6% chance of tropical storm winds and a 24% probability of tropical depression. Now, the numbers increase a little as you get into Tuesday night and into Wednesday. Now, I don't know on what basis the powers that be in Tampa will decide whether or not they should cancel a convention, postpone it, delay it, compress it, or what have you. But those are the actual percentage probabilities as announced by the National Hurricane Center as of 11 a.m. Eastern. From Paul Bedard at the Washington Examiner. He used to be at U.S. News and World Report. Younger voters angry with the lack of jobs and a stalled economy that has cut their entertainment budget and forced many to live with mom and dad are expected to flock to the polls in even greater numbers than 4 years ago. While 51% of millennials between the age of 18 and 29 voted in 2008, 76% plan to vote this fall. This is according to a new poll from the influential group Generation Opportunity. Now, that's a 50% increase in the number of people in that demo who voted for Hope and Change in 2008. Now, I know you're asking, whoa, okay, but Rush, who does the poll say they're going to vote for? Oh, they didn't ask that. They didn't. It says right here, while the group did not ask the younger voters who they prefer in the presidential race, they are nevertheless inspired and are clearly driven by anger over the economy and the fact that they might not have lives as good as their parents. The poll of 1,003 adults aged 18 to 29 conducted at the end of July, and it has a margin of error plus or minus 3.1%. How in the world do you go out and conduct a poll like this and not ask them for whom they're going to vote? So we're left to assume. So if you get news that adults between 18 and 29 are really ticked off, they have to live home with mom and dad, their entertainment budget has been cut because the economy's so bad, that they're now going to vote in a 50% increase in numbers. Would you think that that means they're going to vote for the status quo? I wouldn't, but they didn't ask. And of course, we're talking about 18 to 29-year-olds. We don't know in this particular group what they know, what they've been taught, what their education is. So it's this is one of these things. If you get a story that all these young people are really ticked off at the economy, lack of jobs, and pared down entertainment, but it's important to throw that in there. Pared down entertainment budget. Then you would think they want to change. Change from what? Do they still blame Bush? Do these 18 to 29-year-olds still think the problems that we're having because of Bush and poor old Obama? He's done everything he can, but, yeah, let's vote for the guy in office now while it's so bad. But they didn't ask. At a fundraiser last night in New York City featuring former basketball players, Obama told the crowd, we're in the fourth quarter, we're up by a few points, but the other side is coming on strong, and they play a little dirty. That reminded me of Jeremiah Wright when he told the congregation at Obama's church, describing Bill Clinton. You remember what he said? He was riding dirty. Our buddy Bill was riding dirty. But nevertheless, Obama admits that Romney's coming on strong. That's an amazing admission. I don't recall incumbent presidents acknowledging their opposition in such fashion. Very rarely do you even acknowledge the opposition. And here's Obama saying he's coming on strong, and he is. The Gallup poll has Romney up now by 2. And it's been this way for 5 or 6 days, including Aiken now. Latest Gallup tracking includes Aiken, and Romney's up over Obama. And in the swing states, it's tightening up in these polls. In a lot of them. There's some nervousness out there on the left. There's some nervousness in the media, some nervousness in the regime. But it's kind of funny to hear Obama talk about Romney playing dirty after the campaign Obama has run. By the way, one of the people... No, before I tell you that, let me remind you of this. Obama said at this fundraiser last night, it's very rare that I come to an event where I'm like the 5th or 6th most interesting person. Now, Obama does not have an accomplished sense of humor. He's not known as a jokester. Obama doesn't know really how to make people laugh. He doesn't have comedic timing. He's too narcissistic to think there's anything about him that's funny. Thinking of himself as humorous is that's a self-put-down. So he actually said to these people, it's very rare that I come to an event where I'm like the 5th or 6th most interesting person. One of the NBA heroes that appeared with Obama last night was Carmelo Anthony of the New York Knicks, formerly of the Denver Nuggets. Now, Carmelo Anthony is featured in a DVD circulating in his hometown of Baltimore. Stop Snitching is the name of the DVD, and it shows drug dealers talking about the terrible things that happen to people who cooperate with the police. Carmelo Anthony of the New York Knicks with a DVD called Stop Snitching. He's appearing there with Obama, and the DVD tells drug dealers what happens to them if they talk to the cops, if they cooperate with the police. One of the men on the DVD goes on to tell how he would take care of snitches by putting a hole in their head. Obama's appearing with a guy who is one of the sponsors of this DVD. I didn't know this till I read this story. I don't keep up with the NBA anymore. There was a time I used to, but I don't keep up with it anymore. But apparently these are the kind of people that Obama and his campaign considers to be heroes. Yeah, don't snitch to the cops. Let me tell you what happened. You snitch to the cops, you participate, you cooperate, you end up with a hole in your head. A video being circulated in Baltimore. Carmelo Anthony, part of it, appearing there with Obama. And Obama saying it's very rare that he goes anywhere where he's like the fifth or sixth most interesting person. No. Here's the story. This is I'm not sure. Daniel Halper wrote it. This evening in New York City, President Obama will be fundraising with NBA heroes, according to his spokesman. The heroes include Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, and perhaps most interestingly, Carmelo Anthony. Anthony helped make the pro-drugs YouTube video Stop Snitching. The pro-drugs YouTube video called Stop Snitchin'. This thing says Denver Nuggets star, but he's with the Knicks now. Carmelo Anthony featured in an underground DVD circulating in his hometown of Baltimore. The DVD called Stop Snitching. It shows alleged drug dealers talking about what happens to people who cooperate with the police. Anthony is standing next to one of them. He's also seen on the DVD talking about his Olympic bronze medal and saying he threw it in a lake. The man he stands next to later goes on to tell how he would take care of snitches by putting a hole in their head. Now, to be clear, Carmelo Anthony doesn't appear to be taking part in that portion of the discussion, but it's on the DVD. These are Obama's heroes. These are who he's hanging with. Here's something I know that Washington's an incestuous place. I know they're all married to each other. And I know that they go through revolving doors from journalism to media to back to the Supreme Court to wherever they end up. I did not know that Martha Raddatz of ABC News was married to the FCC Commissioner Jules Genachowski. I did not know. I know Chuck Todd's married to some Obama or Democrat consultant. I know that what's his name? David Gregory is married to some babe that works at Fannie Mae. I know that Angrier Mitchell is married to what's his face, Alan Greenspan. And I know the incestuous nature of the place. They're all married to each other. But I didn't know that, and it's a story here in the Daily Caller, the moderator of the lone October vice presidential debate, previously married to a top Obama official. An association both ABC News and the Commission on Presidential Debates do not view as a conflict of interest. No, how could it be? How could it be a conflict of interest? If you are in the dominant liberal culture of Washington and you have a former a top Obama official married to a debate moderator, where could there be a conflict? ABC senior foreign correspondent Martha Raddatz, whose role as moderator was announced on August 13th, was previously married to the FCC chairman Julius Genachowski, an Obama appointee. Genachowski and Raddatz are married in 1991, the same year he graduated from Harvard Law. The marriage ended 1997. They have a son together. Raddatz doesn't report on the FCC for ABC. Oh, that would be a conflict. So that's good. ABC makes sure that she doesn't report on the FCC. So we can trust, folks, that there's no conflict there. Genachowski and classmate Barack Hussein Obama worked together on the Harvard Law Review. Genachowski as the notes editor and Obama as the publication's president. They graduated in the same class. My gosh, we found somebody who actually went to school with Obama here. It's Harvard, not Columbia, and not Occidental, but Harvard, Jules Genachowski. ABC didn't consider the disclosure of Raddatz's ties to an Obama appointee necessary when it issued a press release announcing that the Commission on Debates had selected her to moderate the VP debate. Well, of course not. Why would that matter to anybody? Why would it matter she used to be married to an Obama top advisor? She's moderating the vice president, and everybody knows she's there to help destroy Ryan, so what possible conflict could there be? You know who the Commission on Presidential Debates co-chairman is? Mike McCurry, the former press secretary for Clinton. Commission on Presidential Debates co-chair Mike McCurry said his organization didn't take Raditz's prior marriage into account when selecting her. He said, we selected the moderators based on their reputations for integrity and journalistic impartiality, among other things. What counts is the quality of their work, not who they may have been married to in the past. Commission board chairman or board member, FCC Commission board member Newton Minow, who was FCC chairman under President Kennedy, was an early and prominent supporter of Obama's 2008 campaign. And well, there's a tie here. So that's too long to point it out. It's another example of incestuousness from the FCC and Democrats to Obama to debate moderators. Oh, here it is. Martha Minow was recently, she's the dean of Harvard Law, was recently on Obama's shortlist for Supreme Court nomination. And Obama nominated Minow's other daughter, Mary, in 2010 to serve on the National Museum and Library Services Board. And these two babes' father was Newton Minow, FCC guy back in 61, JFK, and is an emeritus type guy at the FCC. So there's not a Republican to be found anywhere in this entire arrangement. Nowhere. I got to take a break, folks. Your telephone calls are coming next.